What's up, Golden Days? It's Gina. So today I'm back again with another video, and this time
we're starting.
and I'm doing another video with Nigel again. So yeah, let me introduce you to him. If you didn't watch the last video, here he is. Wow. Yep. So today we're gonna do a embarrassing story time. I have 2 stories to tell and he has 1, so I'm gonna start it off. So my first story is when me and my parents and my whole family went out to eat. We basically just had a room to ourselves because our family was so big. And at that restaurant there was 2 separate rooms. One was my family and then another one was a different family. And so I had to go to the restroom, so I walked to the restroom, did my business, and then I walked back. And as I walked back, I opened the room, and then I sat down, and I started to eat. But when I looked up, it was a whole completely different family. I realized I walked into the wrong room, and everyone was looking at me with all faces. They were like, who are you? Why are you in this room? And I didn't realize because I was on my phone and listening to music, so I couldn't really hear. And I didn't realize that I sat down in the wrong room. And I got so embarrassed, so I ran out, and then I walked to the other room and I started laughing so hard, and my family was like, what in the world happened? And I was like, I walked into the other room with the other family that I didn't know, and so we all just started laughing so hard. But it was really embarrassing, and my face was completely red because I didn't know that I was in another room.
Oh my God.
It's so embarrassing. I was about to eat too, the spoon was right there, and I didn't even realize it wasn't my bowl, but there's food in there, and I was about to eat, and then I looked up and I was like, okay, it's Nigel's turn now.
Okay, this is a story on Grown's World. It's the scene where I'm with my grandma next to me, and I had to speak Cambodian. So we got the first take, and they're like, wow, best first take we've ever done. We're probably gonna use that. And then they're like, okay, let's get a couple more. I'm like, okay, I do it good for the next few times, and then one take that. Okay, but here's something. I'm the only one on set who knows how to speak the line, and the dialogue coach wasn't there for the day. One take, I'm like, knees, and then when you forget the line, you say line, and I said line, and then everybody bursted out laughing because nobody knew how to do it. I'm like, yep, that was a joke. Yep, I totally knew that everybody didn't know the line, and then they said, that was so funny, Nigel. Let's get a refresher for him. And they're like, we'll use that for the blooper reel. It wasn't bloopers, but yeah, good time.
That was really funny. That was my favorite scene though.
Oh wow, why? Because I'm in it?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, I mean, my favorite scene in Grown's World is, of course, what is it, Maya and Uncle Boings at that cabin scene.
Oh, when they held hands.
Yeah, that was cute. Cute.
Yeah, cute.
On to my second story now. My second story is, so I'm a Key Club officer. If you don't know what Key Club is, it's basically a volunteering organization at my school. And before this year started, we had to do officer interviews, and so I had to wait for my interview, and I was waiting there. Me and my friends and my teacher were just sitting there, and I was just eating, not paying attention, and we were just all talking. And then there's this one guy in my grade called JP. His name's JP, and he's popular, I guess, because he plays soccer, he does orchestra, and he speaks multiple languages, so everyone knows him. And I didn't realize, but we were just talking about him. We were just talking about how cool he is and how a lot of people know him. And I didn't realize, but he had an interview too that day. And so when we were talking about him, I got really excited because I knew that he was doing an interview, and I was like, yeah, JP, my man. And so when all my friends were just like, Dina, hey, Dina. And I was like, what is it? And then I turned around, and there JP was. sitting behind me in the row next to me. So I looked back and I was like, oh my god, he heard me say JP, my man. I was so embarrassed. My face got so red and I fell out of my chair laughing my ass off because I was just so embarrassed. And everyone started laughing at me because like I didn't even realize he was right behind me. I didn't even realize he walked in because I was so busy eating. Yeah, that's my story. The guy was
I have another one.
You do?
It's short though.
That's fine.
Okay, so this is like my second session in Taekwondo, and I didn't know I could pee during class. Like I didn't know they had a restroom to use. I was 6 at the time.
Oh, okay.
I was holding it in the whole time, and we're doing they're like, okay, formation, 1, 2, 3. That's great. It came out, and then the guy next to me, he's like, and I'm like, oh my god, and I rushed to like their bathroom and cried.
I feel bad, but that was really funny.
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
actually, there's another one from Taekwondo as well. The teacher, when he yells 1, 2, it's like super loud, and like there was like 20 people in the class, right? And then he goes 1, and went, yeah! And I yell, and instead of him saying 2, I yell 2, yeah! And I'm like, did I just say that? And I went to the bathroom crying again.
Again?
I was 7. I was an emotional child.
Okay, but who wasn't? I still am. So, I have one. It's not, I wouldn't say it's embarrassing. It kind of is, but it's also like low-key traumatizing. Okay, so I used to be a cheerleader in middle school, and so I was on the cheer team. We were staying after school, and one day after school, we couldn't cheer in the hallways because they were like putting out posters or something in the middle of the hall, or we couldn't go into the cafeteria because there was people like tutoring there or like learning stuff. I don't know what it was. So the mats, the big thick mats that we usually use for cheer, which is kind of like a spring mat, I guess you could say. So the ones that we usually use were in the big gym, and no one could open the big gym.
Thick mats. Okay, I thought you said something. Sorry.
But so it was like in the big gym, and no custodians were around, so we couldn't open the door. But we went to a smaller one, and so we used thin mats to, cheer on. And the one time we did, so I'm a flyer, which means like the girl who gets lifted up to the top. So there's my 2 back spots, I guess you could say. So they were behind me, and so like 2 were on the side, 1 was in the back, and I was in the middle. And so we were on very thin mats. They were like at least this thin. They were like kickball, dodgeball mats, I guess you could say. And so we were just on them. We were like 1, 2, and then I went up, and then we went to full extension where you get lifted all the way up. So we were like 1, 2, and I got up. I was kind of wobbly because the girl behind me, she couldn't really hold me because she's kind of short. And so I didn't feel her arms around my ankles, and because of that, I fell all the way down onto the hard floor, and I passed out. I didn't get a concussion, but I passed out for like a few seconds, and then I woke up and I was in my coach's arms. Like she was like babying me, and so when I looked up, I was like, what happened? Everyone was like in awe because I fell on hardwood floor, and the one time we used thin mats, I fell on it, my head. It was great and traumatizing, but funny because I saw myself in my arms of my coach. So that's my story. Not embarrassing, more like traumatizing.
I don't know what to say.
Well, I guess that is it for this story time. It's kind of short, which is sad, but I mean, it's always a pleasure to have Nigel in my videos, at least, because now we're starting school and we're seniors. So I'll see you next time. Bye.